Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about graphic novels and literacy. This is going to be divided into two parts. This is the first part for teachers, although the Prezi is going to be all together, so you could show this part to students. You could go through the Prezi yourself with students and include some of this information I'm going to talk about here, but it's divided into two parts to cut down the time and also just to help it be a little more distinct which parts are for teachers and which are for students. So again, teacher part, we're going to talk about why graphic novels. Why should we use graphic novels in the classroom when we have so many other books we have to and get to teach? Well, there are a couple reasons. One, and kind of the obvious one, is motivation and engagement. So we know how important engagement is, that really engagement is one of the key factors that leads to reading achievement. And the research bears this out. It's not just kind of a hippy-dippy idea. Research shows that we have to have reading engagement in order to get reading achievement. But how do graphic novels foster that engagement? Well, one obvious way is that they're interesting. Research shows that having interesting texts is one of the most important factors in engaging students. Now, of course, teachers have lots of ways of making text interesting to students. We all have gotten students interested in Shakespeare, which seems maybe counterintuitive, but we have our own tricks for doing that. However, graphic novels are kind of inherently interesting to students, probably in part because they don't often see them in classrooms. They're seen as fun reading, but also probably because of this next thing, which is also important to engagement: reader identity and self-efficacy. So the research shows that one important factor in engagement and therefore in achievement is that a student has a reader identity and that they feel confident in their reading. They have their strategies for reading. What it takes to gain a reader identity and self-efficacy is lots of high success reading. So students need to experience reading that they find easy, that they feel they are good at, that they have the strategies for. When students get to high school, often they don't experience that. They're given texts that they aren't necessarily interested in and texts that are definitely challenging for them, and they drop any kind of reading for pleasure. So they lose that experience of their reading that actually works for them, the high success reading. So graphic novels, because they seem so simple to students and so engaging to students, they can foster that reader identity. They can see themselves as readers when they are not stressed about the barrier of a larger novel. But there's more than just that. There's also the idea of 21st century skills or 21st century reading. So we all know that reading has changed because of the internet and other technology. One thing that has changed is reading is now often multimodal and non-linear. So reading now often incorporates music, video, images, and traditional text all in one package. And students have to learn to navigate those skills. Here's one example of a multimodal 21st century text. So this is Snowfall, The Avalanche at Tunnel Creek by John Branch. This is a New York Times Pulitzer Prize winning thing. It's hard to identify what type of thing it is, because as you can see, it starts out with an image, but then we have text, traditional text, long form. But as we go through, we also have video, and now an interactive map, more text and images, and video. So obviously it's multimodal. We have lots of different media involved here. But beyond that, we also have a non-linear text. So we could have taken those side paths and watch those videos, or maybe we read all the text first and go back to the videos. We can choose to click this link and we can choose how many images we want to see in this slideshow. So no two readers will necessarily go through this text in the same way. Students need to learn to navigate this type of nonlinear text and these multimodal experiences and create meaning across different modes and media. The Common Core standards recognize this, stating that students should integrate and evaluate content presented in diverse media and formats, including visually and quantitatively as well as in words. So, how can graphic novels help us with this? Well, here's an example of a panel, maybe a panel, from Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. So we can see here the graphic novels obviously are inherently multimodal. They combine images and words, but they can also be nonlinear. So what do you read first in this page? I tend to go for text first. As a traditional novel reader, I'll read all the text and then kind of spend some time looking at the images. But which image do you look at first? Do you start left to right and look at this house and the smoke and then this character? But this large character is taking up a lot of space. She kind of draws my eye first. I notice her first before I look at this. Then we have this smaller panel inside. When do we look at that? When do we look at these words right here? So you can see that readers can have a different experience going through this one page, really this one section of a page of this book. It's non-linear. And you can have those conversations with students about how they approach reading an image like this. So why graphic novels? Graphic novels engage readers, and they engage them in complex literacy skills. They're also just literary. Here are some award-winning graphic novels, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Mouse by Art Spiegelman won the Pulitzer Prize. These three, American-Born Chinese, Nimona, and March, were all National Book Award finalists and also Prince Award honor books. So, how to analyze graphic novels. I'm going to go through how to analyze graphic novels in the student version, so please go and watch that because it delves into several areas. But for now, I'm going to wrap it up with some resources. So a new company, Pop Culture Classroom at popcultureclassroom.org, is providing resources for teachers for teaching graphic novels as well as other things. They're even going to start loaning out sets of graphic novels. So take a look at those. They also have teacher guides and things like that. I know for a fact that soon they will come out with one for American-Born Chinese. Also, if you really want to dig into understanding graphic novels, look at Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. It is a graphic novel about understanding graphic novels. And then Picture This, How Pictures Work by Molly Bang is another great resource for teaching kids how to look at images. I have excerpted both of these books in the student version of this, so make sure to take a look at that and see how helpful they could be. And then finally, here is a list of references for the research that was cited in the early parts. So please go take a look at the student video, because that's where we really delve in to the complexities of graphic novels and interpretation of graphic novels. And don't forget, the link to the Prezi is in the description, so you can go through and look at all of this at your own pace and click on any of the links.